ahe. Oh, ahe, ahe. Ahe, ah. Gloria? Gloria! Glory! Why are you ignoring me?
Pande, what are you doing here? Working as a psychologist, during one of my visits in Kodiaga Men's Prison, I met my friend Pande, looking at me through the metal bars of a jail cell. Pande and I grew up in the same chaotic home environment with physical violence, poverty, and mental health related issues. But right now, Pande is in jail, and I am here. When we were younger, my parents were hard workers, but we hardly had up to 2 meals a day. So during the day, the teenagers would take us to the market. I was so tiny back then, and I could barely reach the stalls. So as the teenagers would stand up and pretend to ask for prizes, I'll go beneath the stall, then stretch my hand, then take an item, put it in my pocket, then quickly run away. But later on, I joined high school. And this was a perfect time away from my home environment. But sadly, during my third year of school, my sisters and I were sent home because of lack of school fees. And during dinner, I had my parents talking, and they said one of them has to remain behind. And sadly, it was me. At that point, I felt my dreams were shattered, and I knew it was the end of the road for me. I'd quietly sit behind our house and think to myself, what will I do with my life? Will I get a job? Will I get married? Or will I get into prostitution? Because sadly, that is the reality for most of my peers in the slum. Then one evening, we got a call from school. My teacher called my mother and asked her, why is Gloria not in school? And my mother explaining our home circumstances. I was later taken back to school and I finished my education. At that time, I went and learned psychology. I knew nothing about psychology. All I was told is that I was going to work with crazy and mad people. But hey, growing up in the slum, growing around mental health issues, dysfunction, was I not prepared for that? I later joined I later went to visit the Kisumu Children's Remand Facility. And I remember this building because once at a point, I passed by the building with my mother. And my mother pointed that building and told me, this is the place where delinquent children are taken to be given corporal punishment and turned into child soldiers. But this time, when I entered, I saw very high walls, cemented floors, a few trees for shade, boys and girls in different areas of the yard. Some were talking to each other, some were getting into minor fights, but some just staring into space. But when I talked to them, it felt like looking in the mirror. I saw my childhood self in them. And I quickly understood these are not children being taken into this place to be turned into child soldiers. These are just children with a need to connect back to their community and a community with a bad perception of juvenile offenders. So I asked myself, what will I do to these children not to end up in adult prison like Pande? How will I become a turning point to them like my teacher was for me? So children get into these institutions because of reasons like poverty, parental neglect, family dysfunction, and mental health related issues. But due to overcrowding and underfunding, these facilities are not able to provide proper care, and hence, so many of them go back into the life of crime. And in Kenya right now, it's up to 60% rate of juvenile offenders every year. And have you ever thought to yourself that what happens to a youth from these institutions who does not find their place back into the community once released from these institutions? This is where Okiri was formed. At Okiri, our main aim is to reduce juvenile reoffending by giving these individuals the skills for independence, making sure that they're mentally well, connecting them back with their family, and changing the community's perspective of juvenile offenders. And by the way, Okiri means mongoose in my local language. And mongoose, they're smart, they're intelligent, they're adaptable, they're socially oriented, just like these children. And like the mongoose are explorers, we take these children into a journey of exploration. So what will a mongoose or an Okiri need in their backpack to become capable, confident, and contributing members of their society? We came up with 4 elements. Like the North Star, we help these individuals find their purpose in life. We train them in visual and performing arts. And with this, we help them to adjust to the social environment. We also have the compass points. And with the compass points, we help them to pave the different areas in skill development. We have digital and financial literacy. We have cooking and baking. And we also attach them to different opportunities in different organizations. Our main aim is to nurture creativity, innovation, and the need for self-sustenance. And like the maps connect the different parts of the world, we connect them back with their families. We have activities in family bonding and skill exchange programs. And with this, we help them to create family and communication growth plans. And lastly, we have the horizon that symbolizes a fresh start. We release them or we transition them back into the community, back into independence, or we transition them back into safe environments. Do you remember the song from the beginning? Hey, hi, 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 hi. Hey, hi, 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 hi. Joturua beuinja burabiro weura duogedala. This song reminds me of my childhood, where after a long day of play and work, our parents and grandparents will call us home. This song is a symbol of love and hope. And at Okiri, we use it with change lyrics as a call from the youth from these juvenile detention centers back into their communities to listen to them, to let them come back home before it's too late. I envision a transition home with more open spaces than the double walls of a juvenile detention center. A place that is more green and not cemented floors. I envision a place with tiny houses in which these individuals will live together and cooperate as siblings. At Okiri, our mission is to transition these children and youths back into the community with a feeling of home and not a feeling of prison. Thank you.